I always wanted to be more for the small business, I just see a lot of companies going towards how many people can we get on the books and how many products can we sell them, and that's what they're concerned with, not with let's make sure they understand why they're doing this.
What does it mean to plant your flag? It means you're not afraid.
It means you're passionate about what you do.
It means you're here to serve others.
In business, in life.
In good and bad.
You aren't afraid to fly your colors proudly because you know
you serve a greater purpose. This is the Plant Your Flag podcast with Mike Bean
and Jeremy Mountain.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Plant Your Flag. I'm Mike Bean. I'm joined today by Rob Kropczynski. He's with Creekside Business Consulting. Before we get going and kick this thing off, I just want to remind everybody to like, subscribe, whichever way you happen to be listening or watching today. And if you're on YouTube and you're watching, hit that little bell down there. That way you won't miss another episode. We do release these every 3 weeks. So I hope you enjoy what we have in store today. So Rob, welcome to Plant Your Flag. How you doing today?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's something that we've been wanting to do for a little while, almost since you started your company. So,
yeah, we talked about this a while ago.
Yeah, so I'm glad that we're doing it today. And I just want to start off with just the most basic question. Why is it, or who was it, that inspired you to plant your flag?
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, it was about a year ago, right? Last December, I had separated employment, and I was in a spot where I needed to make a change.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of looking at the marketplace and realized, there really isn't anyone out there for the small business owner, right? There's a lot of national companies, a lot of bigger companies out there that they just kind of want to sell you a package and get you on the books and just kind of let you do your thing. And I thought, there's no one out there really explaining what needs to be done or why it needs to be done, and really just walking someone through the process step by step. So that's where Creekside Business Consulting grew. My main product that I serve is Payroll, and everyone's like, well, why don't you have Payroll in your name? And I'm like, because it's so much more than that, right? And it really is consulting the business owners to make sure that they're understanding what's going on with their payroll, and they're understanding compliance and HR and different things like that to get them going.
Yeah, I would imagine as you talk about the consulting part of it, and I can relate that. Being media productions, we do a lot of marketing. Marketing's not in the name, but the media production is where we started. You're kind of looking at it maybe with future in mind, because there is the consulting, understanding payroll. I would imagine you can learn a lot about a business just based on their payroll. Is that off base?
No, you absolutely can. You have and it's funny, depending on who you're talking to in the business, you really just find out. I just been telling my previous rep, run these hours and that's it, right? So you get a good understanding of how much have they actually dove into their understanding of the taxes that they're paying and maybe unemployment insurances and different things like that. And once you're able to explain a few things to them, you almost see like a light bulb going off, like, oh, okay, now I know why we're doing that. And it empowers them, right? It gives them just a better feel for what's going on.
Yeah, and I don't want to talk negatively about any of the other companies in your space, but I think it's kind of at least to my knowledge, the larger companies maybe don't pay attention to all of those things and the education. 'Cause it seems like once that light bulb goes off, your relationship, I would imagine, gets stronger with whoever you're working with. Is that one of the things that you take pride in, is at the education component and making sure that whoever you're working with fully understands what you're doing and why you're doing it?
Yeah, absolutely. And, and it all starts from the beginning, right? A lot of my clients, they might be setting up payroll for the first time, right? And so there's different forms that you need to fill out with the state or with the IRS and just kind of walking them through that and getting that done for them. Instead of just saying, hey, sign here and I'll just take care of all of it. It's, hey, we're going to do this because the state needs to know this information about you. And to your point, right, a lot of the bigger companies out there, it's how many people can we get on our book of business, because then we can have a customer service rep that has 500, 600 businesses with them, and we'll just that's how they make their money, right? Is through volume, and I'm not going that route. My route is, hey, let's make sure everyone understands what's going on. Let's take the time to be with them, so there's no surprises down the road.
Right. Yeah, because it might be easier on the onboarding to skip over that, but I would imagine in the long run, it's just going to be a headache for everybody. It's going to end up being a harder, more arduous process.
Yeah.
If you don't start with a good foundation. And why is it that is important other than practical reasons? Is it some part of your personality? Is it something that you'd seen in the past that just rubbed you the wrong way?
Yeah, it's been a lot of things.
Yeah.
Something that I tend to say a lot is you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Right. I've had family members or friends that have gone into business that something has come up that they ended up having to pay a fine for, or they ended up having to somehow get their hands slapped by the government because they didn't know, and there was no one there to tell them. They're like, well, but I signed up for it through company XYZ, and they just set me up with the services. They didn't actually come in and explain it to me. So I think just, growing up the person that I am, right?
Mm-hmm.
My mom's a nurse. My dad's a body mechanic. Both retired now, but we always joked around. My mom could fix you, and my dad could fix your car. But
you got those bases going.
Yeah, you got those bases. But so I learned that fixing things was important, and taking care of people was important, right? And so I think that was just kind of really built into me at a young age of, hey, you leave a place better than you found it. You always take care of those people that need it.
Right. And growing up, you've been in Western New York your entire life, correct?
I have, yeah. I grew up in Lackawanna, not too far from the Basilica. Ended up going to high school in South Buffalo at Timon, and then at college I went to NU up in Lewiston. So never really moved far. My wife and I now live in Tonawanda, north of the city, because there's just a little bit less snow.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, no, it's funny you say that. I would joke around because I grew up in Hamburg, so a similar Southtown guy. Met my now wife, and I would joke that I had to get my passport to move to the Northtowns.
Yeah,
there's not a lot of crossover when it comes to, from the Buffalo area, the Western New York area. For people who grow up in the Southtowns, a lot of times stick very loyal to the Southtowns and vice versa. And the snow, there's not as much snow up in this area, which is a little bit weird. What else attracted you towards making that pilgrimage to the North Towns?
My wife grew up in the North Towns.
Yeah, there it is.
Right there it is.
Yeah.
So we ended up staying up here. But yeah, no, you're right. I can think of many a snowstorms where I still have green grass, and my parents down in Lackawanna are sending me the feet of snow that they have piling up on their property. So
yeah. And now, do you have clients all over the Western New York region?
I do. I have clients all over Western New York. I even have a few down in Florida, a couple in Texas. So soon to be one in Ohio. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because I was going to ask more about the work from home kind of thing post COVID, but the fact that you brought up other states, how different is payroll from state to state?
Very different.
Yeah.
Because some states don't have income tax. Other states do. But all states do have some sort of unemployment insurance tax that you need to pay into. But they all do it differently. And how you get the money to them and the rates that they charge are different. So for the most part, it's the same, right? You're deducting money from paychecks, but at the end of the day, it really depends on what state you're in. I mean, even some states have local taxes, right? Like we have local taxes in New York, but that's down in Yonkers in New York City. We don't worry about it here in Western New York, right? To where if you're in Pennsylvania, you're paying local taxes. You're probably paying 3 different taxes through payroll for depending on where you work. So you got to keep track of all that.
Yeah. How do you keep up to speed with all of the changes in the different states? It can't be simple.
Yeah, it's, keeping, I'm part of different groups, different payroll groups that kind of help keep me abreast of all that. And then also, the software that I use helps build all that in there so that we know. So it's really, I just need to know what zip code you're in.
Sure.
So then from there I can make the proper decisions.
Right. And I would imagine that software is really important in that, checks and balances. It also, I think, would imagine streamline everything you're doing. Was that one of the most important things that you needed to settle on when you went off on your own and started your own business?
It was, yeah. I actually took a look at maybe 5 or more different softwares that were out there. Ended up landing on the software called Patriot Software. It's actually the 3rd largest in the country, mainly used by CPAs and accountants for their clientele. And so what I liked about it is it's super simple. It doesn't come with all the bells and whistles, but I don't want to do all the bells and whistles, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to just be a poor version of a national company. I want to really focus on the small business that's just looking for a simple payroll, something that could use timekeeping, get the direct deposits done, make sure the tax payments are done, and then maybe help out with a handbook or some compliance training here and there.
Right. Now the compliance training, and that is, I'm sure, more of a hot topic because there's so much. Once again, you said you don't know what you don't know. What are there any common things that you see in businesses that when it comes to HR or compliance training that gets skipped over? Or you think, wait, I had no idea I was supposed to be doing that. I haven't been doing that ever. I've been in business for X amount of years.
Yeah. So a few years ago, New York State passed a law that every business needs to offer sexual harassment prevention training to all their employees. There's still businesses out there that don't know that, and I run into them. And what I found is a lot of companies, payroll companies, they want to put you on like a learning management system that costs so many dollars per month per employee to get them on there for this one training throughout the year. So I was able to find a platform that I'm able to offer it. It's a one-time fee of, hey, your employee can now go online, take this course. It meets all the requirements of the state, and you can get it done that way. Now, the state is generous enough that they do put that training on a website for you, but that training in itself doesn't meet all the requirements because it needs to be interactive. And so they're like, hey, here's everything you need, but now you need to figure out how to make it interactive. And a lot of the business owners that I work with, again, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
I don't want to become an expert at this training so that I can give it to my staff. If I can pay Rob, X number of dollars to get it done and I don't have to worry about it anymore, then let's go ahead and do that.
Right. So you knowing that side of business and helping other businesses get up to speed and keep out of trouble, I would imagine there were some things that maybe you predicted that you would have done already by year one, or maybe you exceeded. How has the first year? What have you learned from it?
Yeah, no, it's been great. I've really learned that, leaning on my relationships and on my network has been huge for me, right? Obviously, we're both part of Business Helping Business. Yeah. And, leaning on you for my website was, shameless plug here for you guys.
Thank you. Right.
You guys did a great job with that. And I've even had people come to me that says, looking at your website, I would have thought you've been in business for 5 years based on what this looks like. So just leaning on people that are professionals in their field to help me do better in mine, right?
Yeah, that seems to be a common trend where maybe people learn that later on is to ask and accept help from the outside. You don't need to be an expert in everything. You don't have to go it alone. But where did you go into it knowing that? Delegate, find help outside, or was it something that you stumbled upon right away? Where was it that you settled with?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I know going into it, I actually thought maybe I can make my own website at one point, and then I realized as I was digging into it, this is a lot bigger pill than I can chew, right? So let me reach out to Mike and get that done. There's been some operations within the business when it comes to invoicing clients and different things where I was like, hey, maybe I can figure this out on my own, but then realizing, you know what, I should probably bring a bookkeeper in. They can keep better track of this. So it's been, a little bit of a learning curve there. But for the most part, just the fact that I'm open to it, I think is very helpful, right? I think there's some people that they, first year in business, you don't have a lot of revenue coming in. You got to watch that bottom line so that you can stay afloat. And I think I'm just strategically saying, hey, well, I know it would cost me more money to do it myself than it would to just hand it off to someone else and let them do it for me.
I mean, that's a smart way of either coming about that aha light bulb moment is looking at the bottom line, and if you're in payroll and numbers and things like that, that
Sure.
does make sense. Is there anybody that you use as like a sounding board to help with any of this? Any coaching, or even just on a small scale, a friend or a relative that you reach out to when you don't really know which road to take?
Yeah, I have a few of them,
Yeah.
right? I mean, first most, right, like my wife, when I decided to plant my flag and go into business for myself, we had a lot of conversations about it and what that was going to look like, and it was good. Total support from her. She's never batted an eye, and she's just like, hey, I trust that you're going to do the right thing, which puts that much more pressure on me, right?
Right, yeah.
to do the right thing. But a lot of conversations with her. There are a few people in my network. I know you had Paul Chisholm on the show,
Yeah.
on the podcast a few weeks ago, maybe even a couple months ago now.
Yeah.
He's been a great mentor in just looking at my books and saying, hey, you should track things this way. Why are you paying so much for this? Is there a different way to do it? And so he's been really good.
That's
at
great.
that.
Yeah, I think that is also important to have one of those people, in your network that's been there, done it before. And how are you at taking that kind of criticism? Is your personality seems like it's pretty open to it?
Yeah, I'm pretty open to it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it might hurt a little bit, but you get over it, right?
Right. Yeah, it's all ultimately to get you to where you want to go. Where would how big do you want to get? Are you looking to add multiple people? Because I know you have family and things like that, or are you looking to stay small, medium?
Yeah, no, I'm looking to grow it quite a bit. At some point, I would like to have the ability to hire on staff to help me with, a lot of the back end stuff,
Right.
because that tends to be the stuff that takes up the most of my time. But for right now, I think in this first year, I set a goal for myself. Hey, I want to bring on a payroll a week. I want to say we're around the 45th week of the year at this point, maybe somewhere in there.
That sounds about right.
And I've done payroll for 42 different clients.
Oh, awesome.
At this point.
Yeah.
And then add on probably another 15 clients for the HR side. So things have been going really well. So the plan is to just keep building that out, and eventually one day I would love to bring on staff and keep going with it, because I'm finding it's been received very well.
Right.
People just love the hand holding part of it. Like, hey, thanks for just walking me through it. But not only that, there's been people that I've walked into that maybe they're with one of the national guys, and again, they didn't know what they were doing, and they were pitched a program that had HR and retirement and all these things in it, and they had one employee.
Right.
And after you break it all down and look at it, I'm on a monthly basis, I'm maybe charging them a fifth, a sixth of what
Right.
they were paying before, because they didn't need all that extra stuff that they were sold.
Right, that the other larger company maybe wouldn't care enough, where you've got these personal relationships, and
Right.
which matter a ton, especially in this market.
Absolutely.
And now with we talked about delegation and your time. It's so valuable. How are you at balancing the work life situation?
It's been, I don't want to say it's not been hard, but
Mhm.
it hasn't been stressful.
Really?
Being able to balance it really well. I have some office space up in North Tonawanda, right on the canal, which is really cool. And then I can also work out of my house. So it's
Right.
really just kind of going between the two, figuring out what needs to be done. But again, with only having 40 some clients, right? It's not
Sure.
a huge. It doesn't take up a ton of my time outside of normal business hours. For the most part, I'm working during normal business hours, and you know what? People will text me here and there, but I don't see it as like, I don't see work time and home time as two opposing things.
Right.
I see it as something that's very fluid,
Right.
right? So maybe during the day, I can go pick up my son from school, or I can drop the kids off at school in the morning, when maybe I should technically be working, right?
Right.
But that means also at the end of the day, when someone texts me at 8 o'clock at night and says, hey, just had a quick question about this through setup, I can text them back real quick. And it doesn't bother me. It doesn't make me feel like, hey, I can't answer them right now because it's going to take time away from my family. It's, hey, let me
Mhm.
just get this done really quick and get back to them, because I want to make sure that, they can sleep at night and they're
Right.
not thinking about this any longer. So it's more of I look at it as a fluid relationship instead of, two opposing forces.
Right. No, I think that's healthy. Some people would say it's not. You've got to separate,
Sure.
work and personal life. Others you feel like you're never checked out. I've heard people say that they do separate, and that when they get home, they don't do anything for work, and that's how they feel good about what they're doing and keeps their family happy. But I have to feel that there's a little piece of them that is thinking about it at least a
Sure.
little bit, whether they're willing to admit it. Because right, you probably go to
Absolutely.
bed thinking about it, wake up thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
But you're content with that. Sounds like it's
Yeah.
not a problem. I mean, and then that's good. And I hope that the next year and the year after continue to bring in the same kind of success. Do you think because you have reached out to family, friends, probably recent relationships that you've had in the past, do you see it difficult to keep up the pace as you kind of go through into other years? Like I said, your network is so big, right?
Sure.
Then you start thinking about other ways of generating new business. Is that a concern of yours, or do you have a plan for what you're going to do next?
Yeah, I think after my first year or so, I think I'll do more personal outreach to different people. Kind of to your point, a lot of people, once they found out that I started my own payroll thing, they reached out to me and said, "Hey, we heard you're doing this. Can we come on board with you?" It's funny. I really haven't reached out to too many people this first year. It's just been a lot of people hearing that I went into it, and or people referring over my way. So yeah, I think at some point there will need to be some reach out on my end to keep growing it. But at the same time, I don't think it's going to need to be a ton.
Right. Yeah. That's great, and I'm glad to hear it. What would you think beyond the personal touch that you have? What would you say is the thing that is most important to why people had reached out then once they found beyond your personality?
Sure.
What would you say is like the most important piece that said, oh hey, I'm calling Rob now. He's got his own company. I want to support that.
Yeah. I think the knowledge and the experience,
Yeah.
right? I alluded to, I went to Niagara University. Actually, I got a degree in business there with a minor in HR. Well, I majored in HR, minored in leadership. And then from there, I've been in some sort of HR or payroll role for the last 20 some years. Most recently, the last 10 years have all been in payroll. So a lot of times when you're meeting with other companies, you might be meeting with a rep that has only been there for a year.
Right.
Or you get a customer service rep. Those tend to be higher turnover positions that maybe they've only been there for 2 or 3 years and haven't seen everything. So the fact that I have that experience and I have that knowledge with me is I'm able to provide a better product at the end of the day,
Right.
a better service.
Do you look at the industry differently now that you're at the top, so to speak?
I do. And it's funny. I feel like I always looked at it a little bit differently, or at least at the second half of my career, in that I always wanted to be more for the small business. I just see a lot of companies going towards how many people can we get on the books and how many products can we sell them. And that's what they're concerned with, not with let's make sure they understand why they're doing this, right? So a good example would be I actually have a lot of clients that are single member LLCs. They set themselves up as an S corp, so they need to run payroll for themselves.
Right.
They've never run payroll before. Well, we need to get an unemployment insurance number. Help them out with that. We need to fill out an attestation through New York State to for workers' comp, right? They're exempt for workers' comp. A lot of times, if they go to other companies, they never tell them this stuff. Then they end up getting nasty letters from the state saying, "Hey, you're supposed to have workers' comp and you don't. We're going to fine you this much money and you owe us this by this day." And it's like, well, no, it's not true.
Yeah.
And if they would have took 2 minutes at the beginning of the process to fill out that paperwork ahead of time,
Right.
everything would be okay.
Yeah. There are like those letters that come in from New York State. They can be pretty scary.
They can be, yes.
So you've been great in helping us and me through answering some of those questions, and I do certainly appreciate that because the way that they're worded, and sometimes you feel like they come out of nowhere, and like oftentimes and not, you find that they're not huge problems. It's just a matter of some paperwork issues.
Yeah. It can just be, hey, and what's interesting is a lot of the ones that I see might have been from years ago, right? Like, hey, they're like, hey, I got this letter and it says I owe them $13,000.
Right.
Well, let's look at the letter. Look at it and it says, hey, back in 2023, this form wasn't filed correctly. Okay, well, let's find out who was supposed to file that form, and we'll get that information, and we'll get it over to them and make sure that's right. Sometimes you just need to call the state and just sit on hold.
What's
hold
the
for
secret?
a while.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you have a bat phone?
I don't. I have a lot of patience.
Okay, good.
But hopefully you get a good person on the other end, and they can walk you through what exactly needs to be done. I have one client that mistakenly their past payroll provider used the wrong EIN letter. So it was going through and figuring out, okay, so since it was all put on the wrong EIN letter, how do we get it onto the right one? And what it came down to was just a lot of amendments and new paperwork being filed, right? And we were able to get it done, and eventually now they're getting letters saying, hey, these filings that you made with the state are now under this EIN instead of the old EIN, right? Okay. So we know that it's going in the right direction to get it done. But the funny thing about the state and even the IRS, right? Unfortunately, they don't have anyone working for them right now, right? With the shutdown, but there's a website with the IRS that a lot of people don't know about that tells you what they're currently working on. And it will say, hey, we're working on live amendment, or we're working on live filings from the last quarter. We're working on amendments from a year ago. Well, that's why you haven't heard from them. You sent your amendment in April. They're working on amendments from January, right? Yeah. So it's going to be another quarter or so before they actually get to your amendment.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, being in the thick of it, you end up having these little trade secrets. How is the government shutdown really affecting your industry?
We're just sending everything in as normal, and they'll pick up when they get back in the office. Yeah. And
you've been through something, I'm sure, similar in the past, just not as an owner.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And and as far as, like I said, the owner side of it, is there any advice that you would give to any owner out there when it comes to payroll, other than giving you a call and joining with Creekside Business Consulting?
Sure. Any owners out there really just, again, they don't know what they don't know. Yeah. And if you just want to kind of have a deep dive and have an understanding of what's actually going on with your payroll, then I'm there for you. Right. I can walk you through it. Everyone owes state unemployment insurance. Mm-hmm. Well, what's your rate? How much money needs to go into it? What does your balance look like, right? Being able to walk them through that so they have an understanding why maybe it is important to respond to unemployment insurance claims instead of just letting them pile up and just keep paying them out, right? And how you can save money that way as a business owner.
I've found that there's, I think, a good amount of confusion around how unemployment insurance works. I've had the wrong vision of it in the past myself. A couple different people have helped me kind of better understand it. You're essentially paying into a pool of money, right?
Yeah.
So can you explain what unemployment insurance is?
Yeah,
I get it, I think, but I don't know if I'm the right person to explain it.
Sure. As an employer, you pay taxes on your employees' wages. So think of it this way. There's a pool of money. When you're in the black, your percentage is lower. When you're in the red, your percentage is higher, right?
Get it.
So you're paying more money into it, the more money past employees are using in the unemployment system. The less that you pay out, the higher your balance grows. They're going to put your percentage down, and that's how you can save a significant amount of money.
That's I think a much more concise way than I would have had to jumble through it. And the businesses that tend to have a higher rate on a regular basis are, well, a lot of turnover, but those seasonal companies, right? Like
Sure.
landscaping
Yep.
and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It can even be any type of seasonal company, not just landscapers, but I try to figure out how to spirit Halloween do it, because they're opening and closing all the time. But
Yeah.
but yeah,
How's the NFL do it? I wonder.
how does the NFL do it? Yeah,
Yeah.
well, those are all contracts, as
are they?
and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But,
Good point.
well, professional sports teams are interesting, right? Because
Yeah.
you get paid in the city that you play in.
Mm-hmm.
So the Bills get taxed differently when they play at home than when they go and play in Florida or go play in California or go play somewhere else in the country.
Yeah. Okay, I guess I have heard that come up before when people would talk about a player would want to, play for Miami because of the taxes and
Yep.
or in Texas or things like that. But are they employees of the team?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't expect to go down this road, but then my wheels started turning. So
Yeah, they have to be employees of the team, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I know they have a contract, but I don't think they're contractors
yeah,
of the team. I would think they get a W-2 at the end of the year.
we'll have to look that up and put that in the comments.
Yeah.
We'll continue that. That's cool. But I mean, any advice that you would give to, like I said, year one about to somebody who's thinking about, maybe they're on the fence right now at a job, or they're out of work and they're thinking about starting their own business. Any advice on where to start and maybe what to expect in year one?
Sure. One, like, take the plunge, right? It's not something that you could just dip your toe in and say, hey, let me try to figure out if this is going to work. Like, hey, if we're going to do this, we're going to do this and do it right. I think in the first year, surround yourself with those resources that can help you get where you want to be, and having some sort of mentor or someone to throw ideas off of is a great idea too. I will say, like, in the first year, imposter syndrome is very real. Like, who am I to be
Right.
running my own company, right?
Yeah.
But then you look at it and you're like, wow, I've really helped a lot of people. Not just help people save money, but just help people get a better understanding of where they are and just feel better about their own business because I'm working with them now, right?
Yeah.
So I think just having, taking the plunge, going all in, and just making sure you have that network behind you and, the support of the people that mean most to you.
Yeah, I think that imposter syndrome aspect is really important. I'm glad that you brought that up because it maybe can be as simple as just thinking about some of the people who put their faith in you and look at what they're doing, and
Sure.
it's like, okay, well, if I have respect for them, I should have respect for myself, because that is one of the things that can really hold businesses back, in my opinion, is not feeling like you can do it or you don't put a bid in for that project or whatever it may be. So I think, doing that check ever so often is certainly a healthy thing. So I'm glad you brought that up. Very cool.
Thanks.
Well, as we get towards the tail end here of everything, I wanted to leave a little bit of time to let you, just let the audience know how they can get in touch with you. What's a good number, web address, all that good stuff.
Sure. So, well, my web address,
Right. Yeah, I do.
CreeksideBusinessConsulting.com. On there's actually an about section where you can fill out some information, a contact us section that you can drop your name and number and a way for me to reach out to you, which is also doable. The business number, it's 716-249-0997. You can reach me anytime. That's connected to my hip, so I'm able to pick that up whenever needed. And then obviously, you can always hit me up. I have a Facebook page, LinkedIn page. Probably something I should be using more than I do.
Sure.
But it is out there if you ever wanted to reach out to me those ways as well.
Awesome. And then just lastly, on your site, you have forms and things like that, correct? For is it New York State? You have those forms?
I do.
for?
Yeah.
And anybody use those?
Anybody can. Yeah.
Yeah.
And really, it's just the quick tax forms that you need in New York State, right? New York State has a tax form. The IRS has a tax form. There's even a form on there that anytime you change your employee's salary or hourly rate, they need to be notified, so that form can get filled out on there. It's really just the things that all businesses need that maybe they don't know, right? And I-9's on there to make sure that they're eligible to be working in the United States. So that's all on there, and I can help people walk through how to fill those out and get them completed properly.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, hey, Rob, thanks a ton for taking the time out of your day today, coming on down to Plant Your Flag. I want to say thank you to everyone out there who's listening, watching. Like I said, subscribe, like, comment. We'd love to hear from you, what you liked, any other questions, follow-up questions. We'll make sure we drop some information about how the NFL operates. I'm sure that's really not everybody's. We can't wait for
curious.
that. Yeah. So thanks again. We will see you all again in 3 weeks. Rob Kropczynski, and he's from Creekside Business Consultants. I'm going to start that over because it's consulting. So, all right, from the top. Here with Creekside Business Consultant. And I did it again.
Consulting.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
I
Yeah.
hear you here more than I hear you here.